Welcome to the Moon and Gemini podcast. I am your witch in residence, April Edwards. Today we are sitting with the new moon in Cancer. New moons begin a cycle. They do not bring full illumination of the full moon. They do not show everything at once. They begin in darkness, quietly and beneath the surface. And because this new moon is in Cancer, the beginning does not happen through force. It happens through return, through memory, emotional honesty, and through the private places within us that still need care before they can grow. Cancer is the sign of home, family, ancestry, and protection. The body's old knowledge of what feels safe and what does not. So this new moon asks us to begin again from the root, not from ambition, not from performance, from the inner life, from the place where need speaks first. The central theme of this lunation is a new emotional foundation cannot be built on old survival patterns. A new moon occurs when the sun and moon meet in the same sign. The moon is dark, the sky is quiet. The cycle is beginning again. But beginnings are not always dramatic. Sometimes a beginning is a decision made privately. New moons are often used for intention setting, but this new moon is not asking for rushed intentions. It's asking for emotional truth. Cancer does not begin by announcing itself to the world. Cancer begins by asking whether the ground beneath the life is safe enough to support growth. Before the plant rises, the root must hold. Before a person can move forward, some part of the body must believe it will not be abandoned in the process. This new moon is asking us to consider what kind of inner foundation are we building from. Is it care? Is it fear? Or is it belonging? Cancer is cardinal water. It initiates through feeling. It moves through attachment, memory, tenderness, and protection. Cancer is often described as sensitive, and it is. But sensitivity is not a weakness. Sensitivity is information. Cancer notices the atmosphere in the room. It remembers tone. It senses when something has changed. It knows that human beings do not grow in abstraction. We grow inside environments. Cancer understands that care shapes development. What is protected can live long enough to become strong. What is neglected often adapts in order to survive. This is why Cancer also governs the past. Not because it wants to stay there forever, but because the past lives inside the emotional body until it is understood. Under this new moon, the past may not arrive as a clear story. It may arrive as a reaction. A longing for something you cannot fully name, or a sense of that old part of you is asking to be treated differently now. Listen carefully. Not every feeling is a command, but every feeling contains information. This new moon happens while Mercury is in retrograde, in Cancer. Because it is not a clean slate new moon, it is not a simple new beginning where the past disappears and we move forward untouched. Mercury retrograde brings review. In Cancer, that review moves through memory, family patterns, home. Something old may need to be renamed before something can take root. This new moon may reveal that the new beginning is not somewhere entirely new. It may begin inside a place you have already known. But you are not entering it in the same way. That's the difference. Mercury retrograde in Cancer asks us to return without repeating, to remember without becoming trapped, to revisit the emotional blueprint and decide whether it still supports the life we are building now. The past may speak loudly under this moon, but it does not get the final word unless we hand it the pen. Cancer carries the archetype of the mother. Not only the literal mother, but the pattern of care itself. How was care given? How need was received? Who was allowed to be vulnerable? Who had to become responsible early? This new moon may bring tenderness around those themes. It may ask us to notice the difference between being cared for and being managed, between protection and control. Cancer's deepest teaching is not that we must return to the family or the past exactly as it was. It is that we must build a relationship with the inner room, the place within us that still needs warmth, the place that learned how to hide. the place that wants to trust but remembers what happened before. This lunation asks for care that is honest enough to change the pattern, not sentimental care or not performative softness, real care, the kind that adjusts the conditions of life so the body can stop bracing. Cancer wants safety, but safety is not the same as sameness. Sometimes what feels familiar feels safe simply because the body knows how to survive it. A repeated conflict can feel safer than a new kind of honesty. But familiarity is not proof of protection. This new moon asks us to become more honest about the difference. Emotional safety is not built by avoiding every difficult feeling. It is built by creating enough trust that difficult feelings do not have to become emergencies. Cancer does not ask us to become invulnerable. It asks us to build a life where vulnerability does not automatically become danger. Because this new moon happens during Mercury retrograde, the beginning may feel slow. It may not arrive as a sudden decision. You may recognize that you have been protecting a version of yourself who needed protection then, but needs freedom now. This is not about rejecting the past. It is about refusing to let the past remain unconscious. Cancer remembers for a reason. Memory can become wisdom when it is allowed to mature, but memory can also become a closed room if we never open the window. Every sign has a shadow. Cancer's shadow is clinging, retreating into familiar, using care as control, using memory as proof that nothing can change. Under this new moon, watch where protection has become a shell you cannot leave. Watch where the caring for others has become a way of avoiding your own unmet needs. But Cancer can also be deeply generous. But generosity becomes distorted when it's built on the fear of abandonment. If care is offered so that no one leaves, it is no longer free. If protection prevents growth, it is no longer shelter. If memory forbids change, it is no longer wisdom. This lunation asks us to keep the heart open without letting the past govern every threshold. The new moon in Cancer asks us to begin again where we are most tender, not by forcing ourselves to be ready, not by pretending the past has no influence, but by becoming honest about what the past has shaped. Mercury retrograde in Cancer brings the old story back into the room. The new moon asks whether we are ready to write the next line differently. This is not a loud beginning, and it's a private one. A beginning made in the body, in the home, and in the memory. Cancer teaches that care is not passive. Care is what makes life possible. So under this new moon, begin with care. Begin with truth. And let what grows from there belong to the life you are living now, not only the life you had to survive before. This work grows through word of mouth. If it's been meaningful to you, you can like, share, or subscribe. That's how it reaches the ones who need it.